What is going on, folks? You have stumbled onto the Turbo and 2Ks podcast. I am Turbo himself, and across the desk from me is this awesome gentleman with pink headphones on, my brother from another mother, Mr. Kyle 2Ks Kaler. And you, like I said, you stumbled on the podcast. This is our first podcast. We just want to take a couple minutes here and introduce ourselves and kind of give you where our fan base lies and give you a little bit of insight on who we are, and so you can kind of gauge where our point of view is coming from. Like I said, my name is Turbo. I am a huge Notre Dame fan. Living in Michigan, it is not the easiest thing being an Irish fan, but going on, I'm almost 40, so I've got 40 years worth of practice, so I kind of got some thick skin. I am also a huge Red Sox fan, and that pretty much stems from my overall hatred of the Yankees. And I figured, what the hey, being a Yankee hater, might as well be a Red Sox fan too. And before you all jump on me, I was a Red Sox fan before 2004, way before 2004. Michigan, I like to spread it around. I'm not a huge NBA guy. If I did have to choose a hockey team, it would be the Red Wings, just because I was growing up before the last strike. It was pretty easy to be a Stevie Y fan, so that kind of led me to the Red Wings. Other than that, play a lot of fantasy sports, a lot of fantasy football, fantasy baseball, and I'm sure once the weather breaks and everything gets started, we will make fun of my beer league softball prowess a lot, so that is probably on the radar as well. So I will turn it over to my brother from another mother, Mr. Kyle Kaler.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Kyle. I go by 2Ks. Unlike my partner over here, Turbo, being a Notre Dame fan, I am totally anti-Notre Dame. I am a Michigan guy through and through. Really don't care for any of the other teams in the state of Michigan other than Michigan. Honestly, I probably like Notre Dame better than Michigan State. That's just, I have a lot of hate for Michigan State. So I'm sure as you listen, you're gonna really get a good idea of how I feel about Michigan State. As far as baseball goes, baseball probably is my favorite sport. It's definitely my favorite sport to talk about. I'm a diehard Detroit Tigers fan, always have been. Unfortunately, we're kind of going through a rebuild right now. I think we're maybe 2-3 years away from being contenders again. NFL, honestly, I enjoy the fantasy football probably more than I actually enjoy actually watching it, or having a true team. When I do, the one team in the NFL that I've always kind of followed the most is Dallas Cowboys. NBA, I enjoy watching the NBA. I don't really have a favorite team. Mostly just certain players around the NBA that I like to follow. And yeah, that's pretty much about it as far as all that goes.
Now, if you had a choice to watch an NBA game or a college basketball game, which one are you tuning into?
Honestly, I'm probably tuning into an NBA game. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. And then people always want to say, oh, they don't play any defense in the NBA. Well, it's not true, in my opinion. I'm a firm believer that offense beats the best defense you can throw out there any day. And in the NBA, what these athletes can do is just amazing. And if I had the choice, I would tune into an NBA game for sure.
And this is kind of going off topic here, off of our little scheduled list of stuff to talk about, but I'm the complete opposite. I would much rather sit down and watch, even like a Maryland Bowling Green game, rather than watch an NBA game. And and the reason I kind of pulled away from our schedule stuff to talk about is Zion Williamson is, you talk about a freak athlete.
Yes.
I was watching that Duke game last night, and just for a man his size, how agile he is, and what was kind of neat too was LeBron was actually at the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you have two iconic, very, I mean, essentially larger than life dudes that for their size should not be able to do what they're doing.
Yes.
And that right there, I just kind of wanted to take a little bit of a segue and just kind of be like, I'm blown away.
Zion is. I'm not saying that he's going to be the next LeBron, because we might not ever see another player like LeBron, but he is the closest resemblance of LeBron that we've had in my lifetime, for
Absolutely.
sure. I mean,
absolutely. And just looking at his just physical prowess,
mm-hmm.
you know, he could easily, I guarantee, be almost a better tight end than Gronk.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Because I really don't think Gronk can jump out of the gym,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, just look. He for the entertainment factor itself is, I mean, and it for someone his age too. That's what blows me
Mm-hmm.
away.
Mm-hmm.
Blows me away.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, you kind of got to know a little bit about us, and I'm sure through this journey you'll get to know even more, and I'm almost positive that you're not going to agree with 100% of what we talk about, and that's kind of why we do this. You know, we want to encourage interaction, and on top of that, if we say something fucked up, we want to hear about it. Don't be afraid to call us out, because we are not going to be those type of dudes that'll sit back and be Skip Bayless and and argue till our face is blue about something that we all know is incorrect. So please call us on any bullshit that you happen to come up. And on the other hand too, if you're going to call us out, you better come with some facts, you better come with some stuff, because we do know pretty much, I'm going to say 90% of what we talk about. We have a very good idea of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's and since this is our first podcast, you know, we're kind of fumbling with the format, the types of things we want to talk about, the types of those segments we want to do. And I think one of the things that, because we are starting out as a weekly podcast, that we'll do kind of a reflect on last week and project on next week. And so with that, we're going to take a step back and kind of give you our views, our feelings on what happened, the biggest things that happened last week. And I know we're going back a little bit further than last week, but Super Bowl. The Super Bowl. And this is kind of a touchy thing for me to talk about, because, as we talked about in the beginning, huge Notre Dame fan. I am a huge anti-Tom Brady fan.
You have to respect him, though.
Yeah, God damn it, yeah, but it's annoying. It's fucking annoying. It's basically what it boils down to, and I don't know which is more annoying, the fact that Tom Brady's so good, or the fact that his fans literally suck his dick. And when I say that, and if you are a Tom Brady fan, I apologize, but 90% of the folks that, you know, he is his own bandwagon, and you get non-sports fans just jump on that bandwagon and just suck from the Tom Brady teat.
Mm.
And to me, that annoys me more than anything. So, but I'm going to give you my big takeaway, and then I'll give you the floor to kind of give me your thoughts, reflections, stuff like that. And mine really isn't. What annoys me the most about what happened, it wasn't the fact that, you know, New Orleans should have been there.
Yeah.
Well, if New Orleans would have made a couple more plays before that one,
Yeah.
you know, That's kind of my thought on that, and we'll just kind of leave that where it is.
I agree.
But Julian Edelman. And now, mind you, this is coming from a guy who drafted Julian Edelman on his fantasy football team. And I knew that even bringing this up, it would bite me in the ass. But I'm being 100% transparent with it. I did draft him on my fantasy football team. But we went through, and we still are going through, the Major League Baseball performance-enhancing drugs. But however, they handle theirs a lot different than the NFL does, obviously. If Edelman was in the MLB, he got busted. Of course, it's going to be a longer suspension, but it's more games in a baseball season than there's a football season. But take Melky Cabrera, for instance. He was with the Giants at the time, I believe. He got popped and was not eligible for any postseason rosters, was not eligible for any postseason awards. And that's kind of where that was my big take on everything, was would the Patriots have made their run the way they did in the postseason if Julian Edelman would not have, if the NFL would have the MLB type discipline. And I know they're two very, very drastically different sports, vastly different impacts it takes on your body. However, a rule's a rule. And so that kind of left me kind of with a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not saying that the NFL did anything wrong by any means. It's their rules, that everything is bargained. And I'm sure that if you're looking at it from a player's perspective, you would want it the NFL way, not the MLB way. And I think that the reason it is like that in the MLB was everything was, hell, they went before Congress. And even though that was one of the biggest fucking jokes ever, our taxpayers' money are listening to dudes tell us they didn't take steroids. Well, the dudes and Sammy Sosa's interpreter. But so yeah, that's kind of my take. I was hoping for a little bit better of a game.
Absolutely, that was the most boring Super Bowl I've watched, and since offhand, Carolina, Denver. That was a terrible Super Bowl also. I don't know. But I'm not. It's probably for some people they love it. Those defensive-minded guys. I'm not a defensive-minded guy. I want to see points. And when I think of the Patriots in the Super Bowl and the LA Rams in the Super Bowl, I was thinking it was just going to be. I didn't think we were going to see the punter at all. Instead, we see the punter.
9 straight times.
Yeah, 9 straight times. So
9 straight times.
No, there could have been an argument. And now, Edelman, he was amazing in the Super Bowl. He was amazing all the way down the stretch of the postseason and but I thought there could have been a pretty valid argument that the punter for New England could have been considered for the MVP of that game. In that defensive struggle game with a 13-3 final score, how many times did the Patriots pin LA down inside their own 5-yard line? I can remember 3 times, and you take a high-powered offense like LA, and I don't care how good your offense is. If you're starting from inside the 5,
that's rough.
Yeah, very, very rarely are you going to make anything out of that.
Yeah, and the only glimmer of hope I was trying to take away from that game was I had New England 3, LA 6. And now whoever got on the squares that had 0-0, let me know, because next time I see you at the bar, I'd gladly take a drink.
Yeah.
Because you guys banged hardcore. But I was that one glimmer of hope, even though there was less than a minute left if they kicked that field goal. I'm like, hell yes, $125. Here we go, right in my pocket. But no, Legatron. This is one of the easier field goals. But
no, yeah, it hits one from 54 or something like that in the semifinal game, and probably would have been good from about 70.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
And, but then, yeah.
So yeah, that's I mean, I'm sure at this point everyone's kind of Super Bowled out. The commercials sucked ass.
They did.
The only cool one was the top 100 NFL grades. That was pretty legit.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of backtracking here, talking about our favorite teams. When I don't have a favorite team per se, I grasp onto players to root for. And even though if I did have to choose one NFL team, it would be the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Being a Notre Dame fan kind of goes hand in hand with being a Bears fan or a Colts fan. And when I was younger, of course, '85, the Bears were the shit. So, they had the swagger, they just attracted me, so I just kind of grasped on. But one of the things the reason I bring this up was that it was really neat to see Barry Sanders do a nice little spin move in that commercial. And so yeah, that's kind of my take on it. Mr. 2Ks, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, honestly, no. I mean, it was a pretty. I'm kind of with you on that. When I don't have a team in it, I mostly was just kind of following the guys that I had on my DraftKings team. That was really all I cared about going into it was DraftKings. I mean.
Did you do DraftKings for the Super Bowl?
Yes. And unfortunately, I had Edelman on my team, but I didn't have him as my captain. In that format, the captain gets the 1.5 points or
Gotcha.
multiplier on it. No, so
yeah, I had 3 or 4 folks ask me if I was going to set one up, and I was like, yeah.
When you only have one game, 2 teams, it's so hard. I mean, you have guys like. I'm picking guys I've never even heard of and don't even know if they're even going to touch the field. So, yeah.
All right, so let's segue that into, like I said, this is the week that we just went through. I guess the biggest news of the week was, or lack thereof news, was that Anthony Davis is still a Pelican.
Yes.
And don't even get me started on that stupid fucking name, by the way. Who in the hell... I always thought that mascots were supposed to be like something threatening. A pelican is not. I would beat a pelican's ass.
Well, I mean,
you like take for a Wolverine for instance. Not gonna beat a Wolverine's ass.
No.
Not gonna beat a Spartan's ass.
Well,
I've tangled with some fighting Irish. That didn't end well. So, but come on,
Well, I mean, AD doesn't have. I mean, with the exception of Drew Holiday, he doesn't really have any help at all, and they're not going to compete for anything. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he probably the number one reason why he wants out of there because he doesn't want to be a Pelican. Like, who wants to be
That's what I'm saying.
How do you explain that one? Like, I play for the Pelicans.
Like, is that a semi-pro team?
Yeah.
I mean, and then their mascot, Jesus, wow, they. You have a bad mascot when they have to redesign the mascot because it's scaring little kids. And who on earth makes a scary pelican? It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
No.
But getting back to the actual point here and not making fun of the name, I was not shocked he didn't get moved. Because to make that type of move with that type of player is going to be quite difficult. I mean, to be 100% honest, it had the writing on the wall of a multiple team trade to get everything, get all parties happy.
Make it all work out.
But the thing that, like the major takeaway I got from it was, I understand the Lakers wanted him. He wants to be a Laker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were no other offers that the public knew about.
No.
But yet, the Lakers kept re-upping.
Mm.
Oh, let's throw this guy on top. Which is fine. Who the hell you bidding against?
Yeah.
They didn't even tell you no. They just didn't call back.
Yeah.
That's like this, your crush. When you're 17, 18 years old, you get her phone number, send her a text. Mm-hmm. Send her another one. Send her a cute little meme. maybe a little video. Hey girl, how you doing? And then, bam, the dick pic. Even before she even says anything to you, she's gonna sit back and go, "What in the fuck is this?" It's kind of the same thing. It's both a dick tease, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Both a dick tease. But the point is, it's like I understand you want him. He would make your team a lot better than what it is now. LeBron and Anthony Davis would be magical together. However, when you're giving away 4/5 of your starting five, and probably throwing Lance Stevenson on there just to get him the hell out of LA, he probably doesn't even know where the Pelicans play. but I mean, at what point are you mortgaging your future too much for one player? Is what I'm getting at.
I mean, obviously LeBron and Anthony Davis. You might arguably be talking about two of the top 3 players in the NBA.
Oh, hands down.
Together, I mean, yeah, it's scary, but you're giving away all of your depth. Like, to me,
you're giving away your starting fives. I mean,
you're gonna have a bunch of
the depth's still there, and I mean, it might actually make a roster spot for you and I. You never know.
Yeah.
I have been working on my crossover. It's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, that whole I didn't understand it, and I know Magic's trying to do the best he can. But if it were me, Kyle Kuzma would have been untouchable. Untouchable. Everybody else, you know what? I'll trade Alonzo Ball. I'll throw in his dad and his brothers for free.
Yeah.
Get him.
I don't want anything to do with Lonzo ever, because I don't. And nothing against Lonzo.
No, it's nothing. He's done.
I think he has a lot of potential and could be a great player in the NBA.
His dad's an asshole.
But his dad is he's the biggest dipshit I've ever listened to. I can't stand him. I mean, it's.
And that for you to say that means a lot, because you yourself are a coach.
Yeah.
You deal with parents on a day in and day out basis.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if this was a 4-hour show, we could go into depth and tell some real juicy stories about how stupid people are.
It just the stupidity. I mean, like going back to Lonzo, I think he has potential to be a great player in the NBA. Do I think he has potential to be a top 5 or 6 point guard in the NBA? No. I don't think he's ever going to be that.
No.
Now, LeVar talks like he's going to be the.
Oh, he's already went out and said he's going to be better than LeBron.
Yeah, and that's a joke. That's never happening. Never happening. He's not even going to be ever considered in the top 20 players in the NBA. He's just going to be a solid point guard.
Yep.
I mean, that's
100%. 100%.
And the other two, the one was he was stealing something.
How do you go overseas and get caught stealing sunglasses?
Yeah.
And then you're not only overseas, you're overseas where a country that they could keep you forever. And somehow Donald Trump goes over there and gets your ass out over sunglasses. Your dad has a clothing line called Big Baller Brand, not Big Steeler Brand.
Yeah.
You know, your shoe, one pair of shoes would have paid for 3 pair of those fucking sunglasses, and here you are stealing them. Come on now, come on. But yeah, and then he takes them.
And he's not even any good. I've never even heard of anything he's ever done.
No.
I know he went to UCLA. That was because of his name and because of his brother. And
I think the youngest one might be the best one.
Yeah, maybe. But I've never watched a video. I don't think I've ever, and I've seen so many videos of him on YouTube of, and yeah, some of the stuff he does offensively is you can tell he's got a lot of talent. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody play defense in that league like that.
No.
Like it looks like the Globetrotters playing. I mean.
And getting back to LeVar the dad, how good of a dad are you when you take your son out of high school and move him? Where do they go? Lithuania or some shit? Like, all right. Here's the deal. Yeah, no senior prom. Yeah, none of that. We're going to Eastern Europe to play basketball. And I guarantee your high school gym is a better gym than the gym you're going to be playing in. But we're going to sling some shoes over there while we're there, put a little bit on it,
Mm-hmm.
So, But I would. I'm actually surprised. I'm actually surprised that LeVar has kept quiet as long as he has since LeBron's been there.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that that was a conversation that probably had to be had before LeBron even signed him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be like, yo, LeVar,
LeBron's not going to put up with anything.
we're gonna need you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah.
This isn't his team. It's not your team. This is my team.
Yeah.
It's not. The buses don't own this any longer.
Yeah.
They might own it. They might write paychecks. This is my team.
Yeah.
And if you want to play, if your son wants to play on my team, shut the fuck up.
You. You.
All right. Well, anything? I know we just kind of talked about just Anthony Davis, but is there anything else that kind of grabbed your nuts and made you happy?
Probably the trade that intrigues me the most is Philly going and getting Tobias Harris. I think Philly could. This is before they even went and got Tobias. I thought they could maybe compete in a 7-game series with the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I still have the Warriors are still my favorite to win it all. I mean, I don't see a team beating them in 7.
That's the key right there. That's the key phrase is beating them best of 7.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody there, but Philly going and getting Tobias Harris, that gives them a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying there's a chance. There's a chance, and just probably going into the finals. If I didn't think there was a team that had a chance of beating them in 7, I probably wouldn't watch one game.
Yep.
But I will tune in to watch because there's a chance. There's a chance of it. So.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, the trade of Markelle Fultz down to Orlando. I feel for that kid, I really do, and I think he was initially taken way too early in the draft.
Well, yeah, and then when you didn't at the time they didn't have Simmons, and then when they got Simmons and they realized that guy he can play at all 5 positions on the floor.
Then his shoulder got hurt.
Yeah.
And I hope for the kid that it's a new fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. There's not that always hanging over your head of number 1 overall pick, number 1, and then especially when you're on a lineup that has 3 other ones.
Yeah.
3 other ones, and you're the only one that sucks. So that. I know it probably doesn't mean a whole lot to a lot of people, but to me, I looked at that and I'm like, you know what? I like that. Mm-hmm. And he's going down to Orlando where there's no pressure at all.
No, it'll be good for him.
At all, yeah.
It'll be good for him.
And the Bucks made a trade, didn't they?
The Bucks, yes, they went out and got Nikola Mirotic, which is a very good pickup for them too, giving them a stretch 4.
That could be scary here.
Maybe one of the best shooting teams in the NBA right now, the Bucks already, and then they added a stretch 4 that could step out and shoot the ball on the perimeter.
Let's go with the freak.
They're another team. I mean, I talked about Philly being able to contend with the Warriors. The Milwaukee Bucks, they're another team that could compete with them too.
Absolutely.
The Greek Freak, he might be the season end of the day. I would say he's the MVP. I honestly would.
Do you know what he really sucks at? Drafting.
Oh my God!
An all-star team.
What was he doing?
God.
What was he doing?
LeBron even felt bad.
Yeah.
And made a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Come on.
But LeBron probably got the best of the trade too. I mean, going on now over the years, Westbrook. But this year, Westbrook really hasn't been as good as what he has been. He hasn't really been putting up those Russ numbers that we've kind of gotten used to over the years. The shooting percentage is way down.
Yeah. It's easy to get spoiled when a dude averages a triple-double for 2 straight years.
And Russ is that guy that always just kind of goes off at the All-Star game too. He plays a little bit harder than everybody else there. It wouldn't surprise me.
He's like the Pete Rose.
It wouldn't surprise me if he is the MVP at the All-Star game, but no. As far as looking at these teams on paper, and I'm looking at it right now,
It's horrible.
Greek, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
And kind of piggybacking off that, of course, LeBron's first pick was Anthony Davis, was it not?
Yeah. No, Kevin Durant.
Took KD first.
Yeah.
Which everyone's like, oh, that's got to be, it's got to be tampering. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. It's a game that doesn't mean anything.
No.
And regardless of who's on whose ever team, I guarantee all those dudes are just going to chill and hang out anyway.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a break. It's a break. I mean, it's a long season.
It's an exhibition game.
Yes, it's a break for these guys.
Regardless of who's on each other's team,
yes,
they're going to kick it. They're going to hang out. I mean, it is what it is.
Unfortunately for them, it's a exhibition game. It doesn't matter. Unlike Major League Baseball, where we'll turn the All-Star game into home field advantage, and
they don't do that anymore.
I know they don't do it anymore, but
that was the worst.
That was the worst idea ever. And then you have the fans voting on it.
Yeah.
And that was a mess.
Yeah. That actually probably cost some NL teams a title.
Absolutely.
Well, it's funny that you bring up baseball because we're just gonna transition right into what's coming up next week. What are you stoked about next week? What are you looking forward to the most?
Spring training, pitches and catches reporting. Honestly, I'm a Tigers fan, so I'm really not all that excited for anything with talking about baseball right now. I mean, our highlight move of the year is Jordy Mercer.
Solid up the middle, kid. Solid up the middle.
I mean, I have nothing against Mercer, but I'm used to, we're signing or trading for Miguel Cabrera in the off season, or signing Prince Field, or signing, the next big name, Justin Upton, something big, and no, this year it's Jordy Mercer, so.
Which is pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. But, of course, my fandom, like we talked about earlier, huge Red Sox fan, could not be happier. The only thing I don't understand is why we not re-signed Craig Kimbrell, but that's neither here nor there. But one of the things that I do enjoy thoroughly, and it is to the core of me, is baseball. That is my shit. That is my absolute favorite sport to watch, play, regardless. I will sit and watch for hours the Little League World Series. Because you talk about one of the most purest forms of baseball ever, is that. I will go to minor league games. I'll go to major league games. I don't care. I'll go to high school games. I just like watching baseball. And I was a bartender for years, as you well know, but our listeners don't. I bartended and managed bars for over a decade. So when it came to doing the podcast, it was kind of second nature because I would talk shit about sports, on a day in and day out basis. And the only difference is between then and now is then I got paid to do it. Now it's more for fun. But one of the things that like I said, over the past decade plus, probably going on 2 now, is I watch a lot of Detroit Tigers games. And because Fox Sports Detroit, it's available, it's there. And I actually had more fun watching the Tigers last year, even though they weren't great, even though they weren't where normal Tigers fans are used to seeing them. But it was getting back to that pure form of baseball. And I say we because I'm including you in this as well. We got to see some kids that we probably wouldn't have saw at this point in their career had the Tigers been where everyone thinks they should be. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And to me, that was kind of neat. And regardless of their record, I don't remember too many games of them getting blown out. They were contending. They were in most every game. Mm-hmm. And they're doing that with probably not even a AAA roster, probably a AA roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And especially without Miguel Cabrera in that lineup,
yeah.
which was probably a blessing in disguise, him getting hurt. Gets him off his feet for a year. And, get that ankle, get that knee, the foot, the whole 9 yards, healed up. He's getting a little bit long in the tooth. He's not a kid anymore, even though he looks like he's 12.
Yeah.
And
has more fun than anybody in the game. I mean,
yeah, especially now that Adrian Beltre is retired, him and Nelson Cruz on top, and then you add Miggy into the mix of that. Those three, my God, I could watch them play all day.
Yeah.
And probably the most fun part would be watching them interact with each other, which that's kind of one of the reasons I love baseball so much is because of players like that, things like that. But getting back to the Tigers, I've always had a soft spot for them, and this is something Kyle and I went back and forth for years on. Is all you Tigers fans, your beloved Jim Leyland screwed you guys hard. And I know you're telling yourself, well, Turbo, what the hell are you talking about? Hear me out on this one. And I know this is getting old hat to Kyle because I bring it up all the time. If Jim Leyland would have retired 1 year earlier, 1 year, take your heaters, go smoke them at home, not in the dugout. 1 year earlier, could have got Terry Francona. And what makes that even bigger is you not only get, of course, here's my Red Sox bias, but it's kind of hard to argue, one of the better managers in baseball. And on top of that, you keep them away from the Indians, which are in your division.
And we can't beat them.
No. And Tiger fan, take a step back. You have Tito Francona. Guess who else is still there? Justin Verlander. Guess who else is still there?
Max Scherzer.
Guess who else is still there?
Anibal Sanchez.
Okay.
Rick Porcello.
Anibal Sanchez is hot garbage right now.
Not at the time, though. Yeah. At the time was, they're number 3.
JD Martinez, still there.
Yes. But that pitching staff, arguably one of the best pitching staffs of all time. I mean, as far as you had Doug Fister as your 5, and
they couldn't close games to beat their, to save their ass.
I mean, Papa Grande dancing out there, acting a fool.
But just that's one of those things that Tiger fan, you can blame what's happening now on Jim Leyland. However, to spin this on the positive, Tiger fan, to spin it on the positive, with the young kids that are on that roster right now, and the way the roster is set up right now, you have the perfect coach for that team.
Absolutely, yes.
Or, on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, someone check. Pretty sure Ron Gardenhire might have been available instead of Ausmus when they hired him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And not to beat a dead horse, but yeah, Tiger fan. Brad Ausmus wouldn't have been there either. I know there was a love-hate relationship. Mostly the ladies loved him because he was cute. The guys couldn't stand him because he sucked. He sucked as a manager. The only thing I really enjoyed and respected about Brad Ausmus was he would still go out and catch bullpen sessions, even with Justin Verlander, even with all the guys. And there's a lot of managers that can't do that or wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guarantee Bruce Bochy is not going out and catching bullpen sessions. Mike Scioscia is, well, he's not coaching anymore right now. But, that's a nice segue. Congratulations, Angels, for signing your coach. Mike Trout.
You just got the most boring manager in all of baseball. All he does is, I've never seen a guy, every time the camera would show down the dugout, I've never seen a manager of a baseball team that just has a blank fucking look on their face like, what the fuck am I doing? And that's what you get. That's what you get with Brad. I mean, he just had... people talk about him like he's this real sharp baseball mind. He was a catcher in the major league, so I have to believe it. But his Tiger stint, he was way in over his head. I mean, it was not a good.
He was basically given the keys to a Ferrari
Yeah.
and wrecked it
Yes.
2 blocks down the road.
Yeah.
And completely opposite of that, take the Yankees, take the Red Sox from last year.
Mm-hmm.
First-year managers. If Brad Ausmus was given the keys to a very high dollar sports car, the Red Sox and Yankees were probably a $5 million sports car. And neither one of those managers put a ding on that car.
Yeah.
It's still pristine.
Mm-hmm.
It's washed. I mean, it's sitting in the garage. And, they go out and start it up every couple of weeks just to make sure the gas doesn't go bad.
I think I think with Cora at Boston and why it worked out so much better for him, or was probably a lot easier for him, is Boston had a really good mixture of veterans and young guys, and I think that probably made it easier for him, with both.
Absolutely.
And going into the Tigers, but for Brad, it was basically all veterans. I mean, there was really no young guys there. It was veterans. And when you get veterans that played for Jim Leland for 6, 7, 8 seasons, they're used to that way, and having to change to this new guy coming into town, probably that wasn't. I mean, the Tigers, their best route would have been if they would have just if there never was the Brad era, and we just went with Gardner back then. Bringing a guy like Gardner in, he's gonna take no shit from nobody.
Nope.
And it's gonna be fundamentals, and I can't think of a better guy for the job now, though. So as far as this turnaround with all these young guys, it was a breath of fresh air last year to see a lot of these young kids. I don't know. It's weird because the last few years I've been kind of spoiled as far as always being able to watch arguably one of the best teams in baseball, and now in these last couple of years it's watching the Toledo Mud Hens. A bunch of kids I've never really even heard of, but I've never paid more attention to the farm league baseball than what I have in the last 2 years, and I'm following that all the time. So it is exciting. I'm hoping that here in the next couple of years we'll actually be competing for something.
And what's even more refreshing is
competing for #1 pick of the draft.
Right. And what's even more refreshing is seeing no Andrew Romine and a good breath of fresh air, which is Nikko Goodrem.
Yes.
I love watching that kid play. Put him anywhere. Coach, you want me to catch? Cool.
Might be their everyday second baseman this year. I think he's probably the front runner for that job right now.
As far as he's just a ball player.
Mm-hmm.
He's a ball player. So, all right. I'm going to ask you, who has won the baseball offseason so far? And I preface that, or I say that, but I preface it with this. There's still a lot of pieces out there. So the puzzle isn't even half done yet. So the answer we give today could very well change a month from now. And I guarantee it will. But in your opinion, who has won the baseball offseason so far?
Well, in my opinion, and I hate to say this because I'm with you, I agree with you on this one. I cannot stand the Yankees, but unfortunately, I do think that the Yankees they've added, and I think the Yankees they're kind of my front runner right now to actually spend the money in Manny Machado, but they've solidified the back end of their bullpen even more, and it was probably already the best.
Yeah, which is
and they added James Paxton in the trade. They were able to re-sign CeCe, and I still think Sabathia's got another good year or two in him.
He's a fucking bum.
Being able to sign Hap, and then just all the flexibility that they have with infielders as far as bringing in LeMahieu, taking a shot at Tulowitzki, who, hey, if Tulo's is healthy, that's a stick.
That could be the most under the radar, sneaky,
yes. And it would not shock me.
Most cost effective move of the offseason.
Because they haven't. Bird has not proven himself as the first baseman, and if Tulo's healthy, I think Tulo might be their first baseman. I mean, if he's healthy
if you've got the footwork to play shortstop,
yes,
you can.
Yeah.
Granted, there'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but not that much. It would be a drastic, more drastic move, a first baseman going to shortstop than vice versa.
Yeah.
But I'm going to, and this has nothing to do with my Yankee hatred at all, because I agree a lot with what Kyle said. But I'm going to stay in the same city, but I'm going to go with the Mets. I'm going to go with the Mets. That trade that huge trade they pulled off with Seattle. And speaking of Seattle, is there a fire sale going on over there? I mean, you ship your top players to the Mets, and then you ship your top pitcher over to the Yankees.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that Derek Jeter was running both the Marlins and the Mariners, speaking of the Mariners too, I guess Ichiro's making.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean you gotta make room on the bench for him. But no, the Mets with that pitching staff and the way that they acquired what they did. They really didn't sign any big names, but they traded for a lot of them. And they traded for a lot of them without giving up any of their big pieces, which I think is rather impressive. And arguably right now, I still think, and I'm going to preface this with in the game today, Robbie Cano has the sweetest swing in the game today. Not all time. Not all time by any means.
No.
Because that goes Ken Griffey Jr.
Yes.
And their swings are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie's is more of if you mixed Griffey and Bonds. If you put those two together, then you get, which it's kind of hard to argue about those two hitters. But yes, that's kind of my. But yeah, that whole Mets team. Now, here's the thing with the Mets is. And it's something I've noticed in the past 4 or 5 years with that pitching staff, the young pitching staff that they have. They were able to sign their closer again, which is huge. They need to change their strength and conditioning coach, because it seems like everyone is always hurt on that team, all of them. Hell, when Cespedes got traded over there, blew him up, everything was going great. Breaks. And it seems like every time he goes on a little 2 or 3 week spurt, he ends up on the shelf. Which, for all you non-baseball people, the disabled list is no more. Because I guess that's offensive. It's now the injured list. So you're going on the IL instead of the DL. So I guarantee baseball purists like myself and Kyle will still probably call it the DL.
Yeah.
So bear with us. We're not trying to be offensive. It's just what we do. And to kind of keep the whole baseball thing going on, if you're Manny Machado, where are you going? And this is when I say this, I'm not saying you have to choose between someone that's offered you. If money's no option, where are you going?
Probably the Yankees. And that pains me to say that, but yeah, probably. Just because I mean, you play the game to win. I mean, and you want to win championships. And at the end of the day, when your career is over, what's the number one thing that people harp you on as far as making it into the Hall of Fame? Yep. Does he have a championship? Has he won a championship? And hate him. You gotta. I mean, it kind of goes on the same thing with New England. You have to kind of respect them because they're always somewhere there. I mean, it's not like they're gonna win it every year, and they haven't had the success that the Patriots have had as far as just basically owning the NFL. But being a Yankee, you're gonna. I mean, year in, year out, you're gonna have a legitimate shot of playing for a World Series. So if I was him, I would Yankees would be where. And I mean that's the what do you think about Major League Baseball? I mean, you grow up wanting to play for the New York Yankees, like that's.
I actually posted that on Facebook the other day. It's like, where do you, if congratulations, you now have the job that you wanted when you were 5 years old. What is it? And mine was to be a Detroit Tigers pitcher and a barber in the off season. It's a true story. But no, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's a fit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a definite fit. But if you're the Yankees organization, yes, you have the money, you have the power, the bully power, just to go out and get whoever you want. I don't really see, and this is getting, like, if I was the general manager, I think that money could be spent a lot better in New York than going out and getting Machado or Bryce Harper. Of course, with Bryce, I don't know where the hell you put him.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, you already have an extra outfielder in Stanton,
Mm-hmm.
which DH is at, most of the time anyway. Where do you put him? That's kind of, and as beloved as Didi Gregorius is in New York, and how hard, I can't imagine how hard that is stepping in after Jeets.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, I say that with, if you can see me, there's air quotes, arguably, one of the better shortstops of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of like, who's going to take over for Tom Brady when he retires?
Mm.
Hell, who took over for Peyton Manning? Not in Indy. in Denver. The one in Indy's working out pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you don't get that transition all the time. Hell, Miami's still looking for a replacement for Dan Marino. if we're going to be 100% honest. So it really can't be that easy. And to take over and step in, and if you look at the numbers, he's not that far behind.
Mm-hmm.
They're very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And Gregorius is a better fielder than Jeter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yes.
He's a better fielder.
Mm-hmm.
But are you willing to, and I know that'd be a huge piece of trade bait, but is the trade bait worth a $220 million contract? I don't know. Now, if to answer my own question, if I were Manning, and I got to choose wherever I wanted to go, I'm going to the Cubs. That would be one of the sickest infields, possibly in the history of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The things that him and Baez could do up the middle, both of them can rake. And when the oldest one is Anthony Rizzo,
Yeah.
and he's what, like 27?
Yeah.
Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
That right there, for $220 million,
Yeah.
you would make the Cubs would make the money in the first year signing him, because that would be must-see baseball right there.
Yeah, your entire infield would be hitting over 30 home runs a piece a season. I mean, like, that is insane to even think about.
And
I mean,
include Contreras too. Let's get the catcher in there too.
Yeah.
Let's get the catcher in there. I mean, hell, Lester hits bombs. Lester hits bombs. And Jason Hayward had a little bit better of a year.
He did.
Almora. I mean, that, and then you got the wild card in there, Schwarber,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy. Just crazy. Now, flip the switch. You're Bryce Harper. Where are you signing?
Bryce Harper. I think Bryce Harper. A lot of people are saying the Phillies right now are kind of the favorite. I was just reading the thing this morning saying the Giants were kind of, which I can't see him go. What's his name still with the Giants? The guy that who's the one he's always fighting with there, charging the mound.
Oh yeah.
Strickland, Hunter
Yeah.
Strickland. I don't want those two clashing there together. So
They might team up and be like barter buddies, man.
Well, they both need, as far as their fighting game goes, they both could use some work because they didn't land anything in that.
Call in Kyle Farnsworth.
Yeah.
Kyle Farnsworth's the best baseball fighter I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You are not losing a baseball brawl if Kyle Farnsworth's on your
No,
team.
I can remember him tackling somebody on the Royals when he was in his Detroit stand, and it was like, yeah, you don't fuck with that guy.
He's like 6'7", 250. I mean, he's not a tiny kid. And yeah, and get him and yeah, just give me him.
Mm-hmm.
Give me him. So yeah, but you've had some offers. People are knocking on your door. You've had some phone calls, some texts. Where are you going?
If I was Bryce, I honestly think he's going to end up going to the Padres. Close to home, going back from where he's from.
Well, Bryce, rest in peace, your career.
But no, I think the Padres are. I think the Padres are going to be a contender here sooner than later. I think these kind of being a Tigers fan, you got a lot of young kids coming up.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of these young kids that are coming up for the Padres. That's kind of been the way that teams have the recipe to win a World Series here is you build from the farm up, and when you get these kids that are all starting to, that are going to start their time in the bigs, and then you're a piece or two away. So
Yep.
You go out and you sign a guy like Bryce Harper. They go out and they sign a big name pitcher here. If it's not this year, maybe next offseason. All of a sudden, you got the Padres that are ready to win now. I mean, you saw it with the Astros. You saw it with the Cubs. You saw it with the Royals.
The Red Sox.
I mean, you build from that farm up, and I think the Padres.
And even getting into the Yankees,
Mhm.
which is very scary because the Yankee era that you and I grew up in, they're signing the Mark Teixeira's for a huge deal. They're signing CeCe for a huge deal.
I think at one time the Yankees infield was making more money than the entire Tampa Bay Ray organization.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It was just insane.
Of course, the biggest one of them all, the A-Rod.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're still paying the guys that you brought up, like the Posadas,
Mhm.
Mo Rivera,
Mhm.
Jeets,
Yeah.
all those guys. But now you look at it and, you've got Stanton, or not Stanton, you've got Judge,
Mhm.
Bird, Sanchez,
Mhm.
Didi, the two kids that came up last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different era for the
Mhm.
Yankees.
Yeah.
And what's going to be interesting to see with the Cubs, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the teams that are doing this youth movement, they're not going to be able to keep all of them.
Mhm.
They're not going to be able to keep. I mean, it's just financially not going to be there.
Mhm.
So, and you saw that with the Royals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you saw that with the Royals. And let's even throw the Brewers into that mix too.
Mhm.
That's a very young team. They have some core pieces that are a little bit older, but it's going to be interesting to see how that's when GMs are going to make their money.
Mhm.
Negotiating contracts, and unfortunately, a lot of these young kids are Scott Boras,
Mhm.
which if I was a baseball stud, I'd sign with Scott Boras
Yeah,
too, because that
absolutely.
man's going to get me paid.
Yes.
That man's going to get me paid. But now, getting back to the question, if I'm Bryce, where do I sign? I'm staying home in Washington. I really am. That team is the only thing that would hinder me from signing there is the influx of managers.
Mhm.
They've switched managers. You're not, but and the thing that really is going to hinder that too is the NL East is getting pretty legit.
Mhm.
When the Braves were down for a few years and things like that, where you could just walk into the playoffs but never win a playoff series.
Mhm.
Come on now.
Mhm.
And I've never been a huge fan of Dusty Baker.
No.
But if it were me, I'm staying put. And I know it has nothing to do. I mean, it's not like the NBA where you can get a supermax contract, with the team that drafted you and all how that works. But if you're going to sign somewhere else, don't show up to the home run derby that's in your ballpark, and have your dad
Yeah.
cheat to help you win. Let's not get into that. And wear a medium shirt when he needs an extra large. Dude's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, wow. Yeah, but don't put on that dog and pony show if you're just going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, that's where you're already a fit there.
Mm-hmm.
You already own that clubhouse. And they're another one of those teams that are maybe a pitcher away.
Mm-hmm.
They went and at the end of last year, right before the trade deadline last year, shored up the back of their bullpen. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. They had some injuries, but they have the pieces there.
Oh yeah.
If you can, just keep people off the DL,
Yeah.
which is
That's been
obviously easier said than done. I mean, Strasburg,
Yeah.
if he could stay healthy for a whole year, probably be huge.
The thing with the Nationals is like I think like the last 3 years at the beginning of before the season started, I've been saying, oh man, look out for the Nationals, and then they just
Fizzle out.
yeah every single I can't figure it out, and I guess if I was Bryce Harper, I would be like, enough's enough, like
Yep,
I don't think it's gonna work here.
With that young Braves team, that's scary shit too.
Mhm.
That is a very, very good ball club.
Yeah,
Very good ball club.
and picking up Donaldson
Yes.
this offseason.
Oh, and let's give a quick shout out to Jared Saltalamacchia if you're listening. Kudos on the retirement, bro. I literally had no idea you were in the league for the last 3 years, but to each their own. To each their own. I'd be in the league too if you keep paying me.
He's got good flow. He's got good flow.
Yes.
Some of the best hair
Yes.
I've ever seen in baseball.
I'm honestly, Saltalamacchia is not a Jewish name, but he's got some Jew curls going, and is not afraid to let that soul glow at all. So he's covering his bases rather well. Covering the bases rather well. And one thing that I didn't put on the docket, and I wanted to see if we'd have time. I want to get your opinion on and now this question is going to be kind of odd because both these teams are in two very different directions. But in essence, adding each player to their respective team is probably better than any free agent pickup you could get at that position.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. Who's going to have a bigger impact in 2019 on their team? Dustin Pedroia or Miggy?
Dustin Pedroia or Miggy?
Yep. Like I said, it's the teams are in two very different directions.
Yeah.
But each of those players are the heart and soul
Mm-hmm.
of their respective ball clubs.
I think Miggy. As long as Miggy's healthy, all these young kids coming up, and I'm hoping that it kind of lights a fire under him, and
Yep.
and
like I said, like we talked about earlier, he's been off his feet for a year.
And these kids are gonna. I mean, if you're smart, you're gonna be watching Miggy every single time he's swinging a bat, doing anything,
with JD.
because he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best right-handed hitters I've ever seen. Like, so and when he's healthy, I mean, you can basically just write Miggy in. If he's healthy, he's gonna bat over 300. He's gonna drive in over 100 runs,
30
and
homers.
he's gonna hit 30+ bombs, and one of the toughest ballparks to hit home runs in.
It's definitely not a hitter friendly ball.
No, and so, and I love Petey, but I don't know. I think his time is starting to unfortunately kind of fizzle out there, and with
Here's my thing that obviously, Red Sox bias, but what pumps me up the most about, and Pedroia is one of my favorite players of all time. My softball number is 15 because of him. And even if you tell me Petey's going to be, he'll play 100 games, bat me 270, 15 home runs, 70 RBIs. Give me that in that lineup all day.
Mm.
He's not going to be a leadoff hitter anymore. He's not going to be a number 2.
No.
He's going to be number 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And when your 7 or 8 hitter is giving you that, give it to me all day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it's the teams are they're two very different players at very different spots, but the way they impact their team is very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I was kind of, and I'm with you. I mean, if there was a very big drop off in Boston from the leadership wise, from Big Papi down to Dustin, he's obviously not. He's been hurt, beat up the last couple of years, and I think Mookie's kind of taken that and ran with it. And what kind of pumps me up about that whole team is there's not one standout guy that's the rah-rah guy. It's the whole fucking team.
Mm-hmm.
So when you add a little bit of Dustin Pedroia in that recipe before you throw it in the oven, yeah. But the Miguel Cabrera, yeah, you're exactly right. If these kids do not just be a literal leech, and put your phone on record while he's talking so you don't forget anything.
He's the one guy in baseball that I've always, I make sure that I'm in the room every single time he comes up to the plate, because it's just, you're watching greatness every single time he steps in the batter's box. He is, in my, lifetime as far as watching the Tigers, he is the best hitter I've ever seen. I mean, right-handed hitter I've ever seen. Yep,
and and
he doesn't get any cheapies.
No,
he's not running out infield singles.
No. That part of his career has since went bye-bye. But yeah, that before. Let me preface it with this: before Cabrera got to the Tigers, he was kind of an under-the-radar kid because he's down in Florida.
Yep.
Where we're talking about fire sales.
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly. They'd win a World Series, get everyone out of there. 4 or 5 years later, win a World Series, get everyone out of there. Well, they haven't won shit, and they got Derek Jeter, and he got everybody out of there. So it's kind of the same end goal, but they missed the most important part in there.
Yeah.
And so I really didn't get to watch him as a kid as much as I would have, looking back on as much as I would have liked to.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, he is, and again, this is going back to Red Sox bias, but it's kind of hard to argue. There's 2 right-handed hitters that come to mind. Manny Ramirez, which probably had one of the prettiest right-handed swings, and Albert Pujols, which had the most compact, no leg kick, pencil him in for 300 average, 30 home runs and 100 RBIs for the first decade of his career. And he's another one that, aside from foot injuries, wow.
Yeah.
But you look at what Cabrera does, all fields, makes it look easy.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't try to do too much.
Half the time he looks bored.
Too easy.
Yeah. Half the time the dude looks bored.
He just doesn't try to do he never really tries to do too much. I thought there was, it's been kind of a learning experience for him these last 2 seasons where I think he has been kind of pressing a little bit too much because he's got to do it all now. I mean, with 3 or 4 years ago with the lineup he had, he didn't have to. And that was when he was winning Triple Crowns and, the best hitter in baseball is because he was never trying to do too much. He just hit it where it was pitched. Yep. You want to pitch him outside? I'm just gonna hit it all day at right field.
I'll dump it right over your second baseman.
Yep.
And if you leave it up,
yep.
as Mario would say, deposit it over right field.
And if you throw him a freaking breaking ball, you better not miss, because he will. He keys on mistakes. He's the best I've ever seen at it. You leave any pitch, any kind of a breaking ball up, kiss it goodbye. What's going on?
And what impresses me the most, obviously the on-field stuff, the results, the numbers, they're all there.
Oh yeah.
They're all there. But I have never heard an interview where someone said, my hitting got better because I talked to Manny Ramirez. My hitting got better because I talked to Albert Pujols. There's a lot of young kids that have come through that organization over the Tigers. My hitting got better because of Miguel Cabrera. So I think that speaks very, very big numbers to me.
Just his personality. That's why I think he's so key for the Tigers, because all these young kids coming up, and the personality that he's the kind of guy that you want to be around. You want to attach yourself to him, not only because of what he does on the field, but what he does. I mean, he interacts with fans every single game. He's just a fun. Just from watch. Obviously I never talked to the guy or anything like that, but just by watching him, he's the kind of guy that I would want to be hanging out with. You know what I'm saying?
I told him what's up once. He said, "What's up, kid?" Went to Tigers Fest a couple years ago, and we were down on the mezzanine or whatever, and he was walking above, and I'm like, "Biggie, what's up?" He's like, "What's up, kid?" And just kept walking. I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah." On top of that, and you as a baseball fan will definitely appreciate this, and I know we're kind of going off topic here, but it's kind of a funny story. If you've never been to Tigers Fest or Tiger Fest, I wholeheartedly recommend it if you're a Tiger fan. Tickets aren't that expensive. I think they're like $30, but they sell out rather quick. There's only a limited number of them. And what Tiger Fest is, they open up the entire stadium. Granted, it's in February. It's cold as fuck. But they take you tours. They don't. The ticket gets you in. You can do all of this if you have time, because it's from, I think, 10 o'clock till like 5. So you have and there's a lot of people there. So there's a lot of your time spent in line. But you can go tour, the home dugout. You can go tour the announcer booth. I mean, you can take tours and see pretty much the entire stadium, which is really cool. I mean, they pretty much take the locks off the gate, and like you're going into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. And so I wanted to get a baseball because there's players sporadically thrown about, and they're given, some of them you're in line to take a picture with. Some of them are autographs, and I wanted something that I could bring that was easy to carry, but to autograph. So it's baseball. So of course I'm not cool enough to actually catch a ball, like a foul ball or home run ball. So what does my ass do? I go buy one, $25. But it did come in a nice case. So, and I'm waiting. We go down, we get our picture taken, which was this close to Verlander. But the coolest part about that is we're probably 20 people from getting our picture taken with JV, and his time is gone. He's got to go somewhere else. He says, "No, give me 10 minutes. Everyone in this room, if you have kids, bring them up so the kids can get a picture with me." Cool as fuck. Wasn't even mad. And ironically enough, he's not as tall as I thought he was.
No?
No, he might be 6'1".
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably your height. He's probably your height, which I'm, for the listeners there that have never met me, I'm 5'10". So when it comes to someone who's 6 foot, I've got a pretty good gauge on it because they're just a little bit taller than me. Now, what was kind of cool too was the guy that followed him was Nick Castellanos. Castellanos is every bit of 6'4". He's a big kid.
Yeah,
He's a big kid. And so I got my picture taken with Nick, said I had this, of course, fanboyed out. I'm like, oh shit, it's Nick Castellanos. I can only imagine what dumb shit would have come out of my mouth for Justin Verlander. But so he puts his arm around me, we take a picture. Out of my mouth comes some dumb shit like, "Have a good year, kid." But anyway, to get back to the baseball story, where we go and we're in line to get, and there's a crossroads. You go to the right, you go to this booth. You go to the left, you go to this booth. We chose the right. And once I saw who was there, I was pissed. Because I would have much rather gone to the left. And I'm going to preface this with, the left had Daniel Norris. I mean, this is fresh, living in a van, Daniel Norris. Still had the huge-ass beard.
Yeah.
If you could look homeless in a suit, he was doing it. He was doing it. On the right, got Andrew Romine.
Ah.
I almost had him sign the shirt I was wearing so I didn't waste it on a $25 baseball. But, yeah, fast forward to a couple summers ago, my brother gets married and we're having part of the bachelor party at my house. And one of the guys that's in the wedding is a huge baseball fan. He's like, "Hey, man, I need you as your pisser." I was like, "Yeah, just go in." Told him where it was. And he looks on my my shelf there and he goes, "Huh." Comes back out and he goes, "Why the fuck do you have an Andrew Romine signed baseball?" He's like, "I just thought maybe you're a huge fan." I said, "No, actually I wasn't. I almost didn't have him sign it." But yeah, that Tiger Fest, if you get a chance, wear boots. Like I said, it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of a surreal experience because there's players walking all around. Even Craig Monroe stopped and was signing autographs in just a shirt and a vest. And it's 20 degrees out. And Simo was signing autographs. This is back when Brad was still there. We saw Brad. Like I said, Miggy. And it's actually a really, really cool thing. And to me, it's kind of neat, too, because you're seeing the players out of their element.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're used to dropping money, and you're seeing them like game time mode. Mm-hmm. But to see them on the kind of like a personal level and taken out of their element, it's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. That's kind of cool. All right, well, we're running over that hour mark, so how about we wrap it up? Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the one thing that we really didn't get to touch on was, we touched on it a little bit, but NCAA basketball. So we'll kick the show off with that next week. But one of the things that I do want to encourage everyone to do is, we do have a Facebook page. So search Turbo and 2Ks. We will have all of our, for our listeners out there, we will have all of our links. We do have a Patreon page where, if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's it's similar to YouTube, but you really don't post videos and stuff. It's you help contribute to creators. And for your contributions, you do get deeper access. So, and I haven't quite set up the tiers and everything, but Kyle and I are going to be doing aside from just the national news with the sports, we are going to try to bring in a lot of our local high school players, coaches, and whatnot, and we're going to be making it out to a lot of these like football games, basketball games, baseball games, and one of the things that we're going to try to do with our Patreon is give you like videos and pictures and stuff of where we were. And you'll probably get this, the podcast a day early, a couple days early. So there are benefits to doing it. And like I said, we do appreciate all of our listeners. And this is just kind of your way to help give back so we can keep doing this. So if you do like the content, awesome. If you don't, tell us about it. And with our Facebook too, we'll post some goofy shit and breaking news and stuff like that. So go ahead and give that a like. We do have a Gmail account, so if you have any questions, comments, tell me to go fuck off, whatever. It is turbo and 2Ks at gmail.com. And please, if you do send an email and you want your email read on the show, please write these words, "You have my permission to use." Just so we're all clear, you have my permission to use, so we're all good there. Other than that, you have anything else to add there, 2Ks?
No.
All right, well, thanks for sitting in with the first of hopefully many. And I promise you these will get better. Our audio quality will get better. We're going to throw some video in there too because we do have a YouTube page. So yeah, we've got some really, really cool things coming for you guys. So yeah, keep on listening. And Jim Rome, if you're out there, we're coming for you.